La Bayadère, it's one of the ballets from the golden classical repertoire that actually founded the ballet world. It's a fiction based in India. It's not a real representation of the Indian culture. There is Nikia. There is the warrior Solar. Solar is this powerful warrior who goes and hunts, but then falls in love with Nikia, and then he shows his romantic side.
So the Bayadère is like a long ballet, but we're just going to do a small part of it, the Shades, which is in the third act.
The part we are doing, the Kingdom of Shades, is Solar shows his love towards Nikia, and it's quite romantic. And the music, it's one of my favorite Minko's scores. Well, it is hard.
It's very technically challenging.
Yeah, he comes, like for example, Solar comes with jumps, the whole entire act is just jumping and jumping. And
classical ballet, it's very, you have to do it perfectly is the goal every single time, and there's not really room for like, oh, that didn't go so well. It just has to be right. So the style of La Bayadère is it's softer, more romantic than, let's say, like if you have a tambourine, you're like, I don't know, but it's more airy and light.
Anyone who loves classical ballet, they for sure will like this segment of Bayadère, what we're gonna do, because it's a pure classical ballet. And it's been interesting to work with Dennis because he comes from that background, and you can see how much passion and love he has exactly for this kind of work we are doing.
Obad is a song about lovers separating at dawn, is I think the actual definition of Obad, which is basically what the piece is. In the full-length piece, the lights kind of come up like it's dawn, and the men are preparing to depart from their town community. We don't know where they're going, maybe shipping off to sea or off to war, but throughout the piece you see a community of people, and so there's a lot of camaraderie amongst the dancers. There's high energy music and dancing, so a lot of fun throughout the piece. I would say that the style of dance is neoclassical movement, so we got a lot of technically difficult steps, but also very expansive and expressive port de bras and movement through the whole body. And Michael has definitely fit a lot of steps in a small amount of music, so it's tough. We're counting like crazy. It's not easy music to count, so you're trying to juggle that with fitting all the steps in. Fun fact, I have danced Obad once before when I was in Milwaukee Ballet 2, and yeah, I remember at the time I didn't know yet that I was going to be hired into the company, and I remember I really admired and looked up to the guys in the company like David and Barry, and 10 years later here we are dancing this piece again, and I'm performing alongside David and Barry, whom I still very much admire. So it's kind of a neat full circle for me to do this piece again 10 years later.
So the Esmeralda pas de deux is a crowd pleaser. Usually you see it at galas and fundraising events. People enjoy customizing it and putting the things that they do really, really well into it. I think it's going to be a lot of fun for the audience to be as close as they are and see all the tricks and the jumps.
The music is really nice, super exciting, so people will get excited as we dance. It's merely to enjoy, because it has a lot of technical steps and a lot of pirouettes, something that can go wrong at any time. So you have to be on your leg, but there is not a specific step that is really hard.
It's interesting because this is the second time I'm technically playing Phoebus this season. We just did our director Michael Pink's production of Hunchback of Notre Dame, which was a full-length story ballet centered around Esmeralda, and now this is the excerpt of the classical version.
They're totally different though. This one is so happy and sexy.
So in the classical canon, there are pas de deux that are particularly excerpts from larger ballets that we no longer do the full-length versions of. So this is simply the pas de deux with the variations and solos and coda, but it gives us as dancers a chance to really flush it out and put as much charisma and as much energy and as much enthusiasm as we can, because it's just a little peek into the window between these two characters.
Graduation ball is a very cute and fun, silly compilation of excerpts from the larger ballet, and yeah, it's really fun. It's gonna make you smile. It's also really hard. It's technically really challenging, so it's deceiving, you know, how difficult it is because it's layered with this like bows and frills on top, and but it's fun. Super fun. I am playing the good girl, and she, you know, as the name suggests, is the good one. There's also a naughty girl. So yeah, we kind of introduce the other dancers, the other divertissements throughout the piece. It was created by David Lachine in 1940, and it's set in the 1840s at a girls' finishing school. And it's their graduation, and they've invited the local cadets from the military school to celebrate with them. And the ballet is just that experience of them all celebrating and having a good time. The hardest part about the good girl and her dancing is that she dances a lot on point, and not just in point shoes, but literally on point. Hopping and turning and jumping on point. So it looks very impressive because you look weightless and you're just flitting across the floor, but it's painful on the toes, and it's hard. You just gotta do it. Gotta grit your teeth.
So, can I say something? It was a really cool experience for me. Not only was I in the original cast, but I was also in Milwaukee Ballet 2 at the time. So it kind of opened the doors for me into the company. So it was a very, very awesome opportunity because I was also featured in the piece. Working with Ricky was awesome. He's like super high energy and encouraging, and he kind of very like tailored the piece to each individual dancer. Well, for me, definitely my personality, because my part is kind of like very fun and sexy, confident. And then my pas de deux that I did, which I will be doing again, it was more of a romantic and very like intimate duet. And then there was like different sections of the piece where you see different types of relationships. So there was one couple that were like constantly fighting, and then for us it was like completely different. We were just very like lovey-lovey. So it just portrayed different types of relationships. The ending is my favorite part. I won't give it away, but you're in for a treat. Yeah.